Are we live? Is it working? All right. How's everyone doing tonight? Who's ready to go to sleep or something? A couple of people are like, okay, Sunday night, I'm ready for bed. Who's ready to go to tomorrow? Or distance tomorrow? Yeah! Everyone's like, oh, I don't know. All right. Well, I'm excited that you guys are all here, that we have some friends joining on YouTube as well, so we're glad that they're with us. We're going to get things kicked off tonight with some worship. So I'm going to invite Faith to come on up and lead us in a couple of songs.
Wow, enthusiastic crew tonight. All right, well, let's start with standing. Let's try that. All right, then we're going to get some words on the screen. All right, here we go. Let the king of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from, oh, he's my son. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life, oh, he is my son. 'Cause you are good, you're good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, you are good, good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves, oh, he's my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days, oh, he's my song. You are good, you're good, oh, yeah, you are good, whatever may pass and whatever lies before me. Let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship your holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness, I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship your holy name. On that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come. Still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship your holy name. And God, we thank you so much for this time that we get to come together and to sit in your presence, God, and to hear straight from your word. And I just pray that as we continue into this time of being together in person and in community with each other, Lord, that you would build our relationships between each other and our relationships with you. And I just pray for good conversation based on your truth tonight. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Fabulous. All right. I gotta find my clicker, maybe?
Nope.
No, did it die? All right. Well, to get things going tonight, I have something that I want to show you guys about a little something I like to call winter camp that is coming up in just a few weeks. So if you guys want to turn your attentions back to the screen and check out this video.
Andrew. right, let me hear you if you guys are excited for winter camp this year. All right, that got you guys going a little bit. Well, winter camp is coming up in just a couple of weekends. I think it's actually 3 weekends away from now. That sounds about right. So it's February 13th and 14th. For those of you guys who have gone in the past, it's a little bit different. We're not going up to Big Sandy Camp, but we are bringing the fun right here to Rochester. We're still going to have Joe, who's going to be speaking to us. We're still going to have worship that's led by Joel Baxley and our incredible band. We're going to have broom ball. We're going to have tubing. We're going to have campfire donuts, all of the things about winter camp that you guys love. We are still going to try and make all of those things happen. So again, if you guys have questions about what that might look like and how it's going to be different, feel free to come talk to me. I'd love to tell you guys a little bit more about that. But you guys can sign up now. And the other important thing that I want to tell you guys about signing up is if you want to make sure that you get the right size t-shirt that fits you, make sure you have your parents register by Thursday this coming week so that we can make sure we get you the right size. If you register after then, you'll still get a shirt, but we can't promise you that it's going to be the size that you want because we have to order those at the end of this week. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it. Again, even though it's going to be different, it's going to be a different experience. I think that it's still going to be pretty incredible. And another one of our favorite parts about winter camp is all the games that we get to play. And we're getting you guys warmed up with all the games that we're playing here. And I promised you guys last time we were in large group that I was going to give you guys a scoring update on where we were because y'all are curious. I can just see it in your eyeballs. So let me get this pulled up here and see. So we got, and I want to say this too, we still have 6 more impacts to go. That's more than we've had so far. So a lot can change. As you guys all know, all it takes is a day and everything changes. So know that no team is out of it yet. But we got in 6th place with 26 points, we got the 6th grade boys. And then following them in 5th place with 37 points, we have the 7th grade girls. And then next to that, we have with 48 points, the 8th grade girls. And then these next 3 are all very, very close. With 51 points, we have the 6th grade girls. With 53 points, we have the 7th grade boys. And with just 1 more point, at 54 points, we have the 8th grade boys leading the pack. So they're the ones to watch out for as we continue. Now we have another game for you tonight, and this one is called Match It. So this may be a little play off of a card game that maybe you guys have played before called Spot It. But what's going to happen is there's going to be 2 pictures that come up on the screen, and you're going to have to figure out which item is on both the left and the right side. So in this example, you can maybe see that there's an alien on both sides. So now I know that some of you guys are way back in the back and you're like, how are we going to be able to see this? Well, how we're going to play this game is that for each round, we're going to have your life group leaders select somebody from your group to come on up, and you guys can stand right up here, and you'll be able to look at the screen, and it will be just those people for that round that are participating, okay? So, to start it off, we're gonna do grades head to head. And then after a couple of rounds, we're gonna bring up somebody from each grade. Are you guys ready? So I need a 6th grade girl and a 6th grade boy. Your leaders will select you. Who's coming on up? Come on up to the front.
I need to grab a pen to write it down.
All right, so you guys can come on up. If you wherever you need to go to be able to see the screen well. And what you need to do is you gotta raise your hand if you have it. Okay? You gotta raise your hand, and whoever's hand up I see up first, I'm gonna call on. So here we go. Our first one is Eli. Nope. Raylan. Volleyball, yes. All right. You guys can have a seat. I need a 7th grade girl and a 7th grade boy. All right, come on up. I think the next one shows the answer. Whoa. All right, are you guys ready? Here we go. The bomb, yes. Nice work, 7th grade girls. All right, we need an 8th grade girl and an 8th grade boy. Come on up. All right, here we go. Are you guys both ready? Raise your hand once you know the right one.
Penguin.
Penguin, that was fast. Yes, we got 2 penguins up here. All right, well, I think we'll do one more 6th grade versus 6th grade. So I need one from each of your groups. 6th grade girls, 6th grade boys. Come on up. All right, we got Josiah coming on up for the boys. Are you guys ready? All right, here we go. The phone, yes, nice work. All right, 7th grade boy and 7th grade girl. Come on up. All right, I gotta make sure I know which one we're on. All right, here we go. Ready? Which? Yes, you got it. The sun. All right, and 8th grade. 8th grade girl, 8th grade boy. Come on up. All right. Are you both ready? All right, here we go. Yes, 8th grade boys got it. Now, for these next few, we're going to have somebody from each grade. So I need a 6th grade girl, a 6th grade boy, 7th grade girl, 7th grade boy, 8th grade girl, and 8th grade boy. Come on up. Find a spot where you can see the screen. And remember, you gotta raise your hand and wait for me to call on you before. Now that there's more people up, and it's especially gonna be important. All right. Oh, there was our lightning bolts. Here we go. The paint splatter, yes. All right, we got the 7th grade girls. All right, I need somebody from each group. Again, come on up. All right. All right, are you guys all ready? Here we go. The 8-ball, yes, 7th grade girls. Again. All right, we got another one. Need somebody from each group. Somebody from each group, come on up. All right, remember, raise your hand when you see it. Whoops, not yet. There we go. The pizza slice for the 8th grade girls. All right, we got 2 more. Yeah, leaders can come on up if you want. Actually, wait. We're going to do an all leaders round for the last one, okay? So the last one, we're going to have an all leaders round. So one more, we need somebody from a student from each group. All right. Make sure we raise our hands. All right, Josiah, are you ready? All right, here we go. Oh, I think we need to move the. Yes, the toothbrush. Sorry about that one, folks. Little technical difficulties with our screen there. All right, I need all of our leaders up to the front, a leader from each group. Here we go. The true test. There was our toothbrush. Also, students, I have to tell you guys a secret that this might be the hardest one yet. So just so you know. Very possibly. All right. Leaders, don't forget the rules. You got to raise your hand and be ready to answer. Here we go. Faith. The 8-ball, yes, for the 8th grade girls. All right, nice work, everybody. That one's a tricky one. Trust me, I didn't put these together. It took me a while to find it as well. All right, you guys, we are going to jump in to our 3rd week of our goals series. And I have something to start off and ask you guys. Have you guys ever done something really dumb? You know, like one of those things where at the time it seems like a really great idea. And then as you think about it and as it plays out, you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the best choice for me. You didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the consequences that might come from what you did. You know, one thing when I was your guys' age, when I was in middle school, I was in band. Hey guys, thank you. How many of you guys are in band right now? Which is weird, probably virtually, or maybe orchestra, or maybe choir even. Okay, a lot of you guys. And what's one of the key elements you have to do when you're in one of those things? Practice. Well, let me tell you something. I picked Netflix over practice 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. And I was like, okay, not a big deal, whatever. I'm going to choose to watch Netflix. It's fine. Well, one of those times when I chose Netflix or whatever else I was doing, instead of practicing, I woke up the next morning ready to go to band, and I was like, oh no. I have a playing test today where I'm supposed to go in front of my band director and play all the scales. And I played trombone. So in a lot of ways, it was pretty easy to like fake it if I had to make it. But I was like, there's no way this is happening. And so what I did was my mom comes down to wake me up in the morning. Mom, I don't feel so good. I don't think I can go to school today. I'm not feeling so good. Okay, crawl back in bed, it's fine. I was like, yeah, like I don't have to go to school, I don't have to do my playing test. Whew, escaped that one. Well, what happens when you miss school, and especially if you miss a test, you don't actually get out of it. I had to take it later, so I showed up, still not prepared, and had to do my playing test anyways. Not one of my finest moments. Not only did I make the choice to not practice, I also made the choice to lie to my mom saying that I was sick and could not go to school. Kids, don't do that. Don't do it. Unless you really are sick, then stay home. Yes, but don't do that. I did not think about the consequences of my action, because not only did I get in trouble with my mom, but I also still had to take my playing test. And as you guys were listening to that story, you guys were probably thinking like, okay, like, how did you not see how that was going to end? How did you not see that was coming? And honestly, if I would have thought about it a little bit more then, I probably would have realized that it wasn't the best choice I could have made. And here's the thing, is that we all struggle with making wise choices at times. Every single day, we're faced with decisions that we have to make. And we can either make the wise choice, what we know is the right thing to do, or we can make the unwise choice, the one that probably isn't what we should be doing. Maybe you guys have done this before. You've stayed up all night playing Minecraft or Among Us, even though you know you have to get up early the next morning to go to church. Anybody? Oh yeah, I know. I've done that. I'm right there with you. Or maybe you tried to show your friends, yeah, I can drink a whole gallon of milk without throwing up. That one won't end well either, I can guarantee it. Whatever the choice is, chances are that you probably decided to do it without even thinking about the consequences of that. Maybe you knew it wasn't wise, but you decided to do it anyway. And why? Because the truth is, making wise choices isn't always easy. Every single day, you have to decide whether you're going to honor and respect your parents or if you're going to talk back to them and break their rules. You have to decide if you're going to do your very best on the math assignment you don't want to do, or if you're going to just scribble in some answers to say you got it done. Or you're going to have to decide if you're going to stand up for that kid that's getting picked on, or if you're going to join in on with the kids that are teasing them. Sometimes we make the wise choice. We do what we should do, but other times we don't. But here's something that I find to be true most often when we choose the unwise choice, and that's because we don't always consider the consequences. We jump into it without thinking it through. Now, talking back to your parents or disrespecting them eventually is going to turn into a punishment or a consequence, or maybe damaging the trust of your relationship with them. Breezing through your homework as quick as you can might get the assignment done, but it's not going to help you pass the class in the long run. And making fun of someone else might help you fit in, or it might be funny for the time being, but in the long run, it's going to hurt not only them, but it's going to hurt you as well. See, every choice that we make has a consequence of some kind, and sooner or later, the consequences of the unwise choices that we make are gonna catch up to us. Now you might be thinking, okay, sure, yes, that's true, but why do I have to be worried about that right now? Like, why can't I just do what I want right now and not worry about the future? Well, I get that, and I realize that it can be hard, especially at your guys' age, to think long term. But whether we realize it or not, the choices that we make now can have a major impact on our lives in the future. And that does not change the fact that making wise choices right now is hard. So what are we supposed to do about this? How do we make wise choices in both big and small ways, even when it's hard to do? Well, we're going to talk about that for a little bit tonight, but I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes. I have a couple of questions for you guys to discuss in your life group, so you guys can turn there, discuss. Some of them are kind of just fun to get the conversation rolling, and then we'll come back in just a few minutes. All right, I'll give you guys like one more minute and then come on back. All right. I'm going to bring your guys' attention back up this way. Fabulous. All right. Making decisions. Well, luckily, we aren't the first people that are trying to navigate this and having to deal with making tough decisions, trying to make wise choices. And in this series, we've been talking about Paul and specifically about a letter that he wrote to the people of Galatia. And so Paul, when he became a Christian shortly after Jesus died and rose again, and when he started following Jesus, Paul was like, he was all in, and he was starting churches all over, and a couple of those were in Galatia, and he really cared about the people of Galatia, and he wanted to make sure that they were pursuing the right goals, that they knew what they should be doing as new followers of Jesus. And that's why he wrote this letter to them. And so we're going to look at Galatians chapter 6 specifically. And Paul talked about making wise choices. And so in verse 7, the second part, this is what he says. He says, "For whatever a person sows, he will also reap." Or another translation of this says, "You will always harvest what you plant." Now, Paul was not talking about actual gardening here, because that would not be very great advice when it comes about making wise decisions. But this was an illustration that he was using for the people of Galatia about choices that they were making. Now, if you haven't spent much time in a garden lately, I'm going to lay it out for you guys a little bit. So when it comes to gardening, you're only going to be able to harvest or produce, like bring in what you actually plant. Okay, seems simple enough. So if you plant corn, what are you going to harvest? Corn. Exactly. If you plant beans, what are you going to harvest? Beans. Exactly. If you plant apple seeds, do not expect an orange tree to grow, because it ain't going to happen. Okay? If you want oranges, you got to plant oranges. You have to plant the seeds of what you want to see grow. Now, while you guys, I don't know, maybe we have some expert gardeners here in the room. I know that I am not. I kill about every plant that I try and touch, so I leave the gardening to other people. But we're all still planting seeds in our lives in different ways. Every single day with our choices, we are planting seeds. Every decision that we make today is going to grow or harvest something in our lives in the future. So when we make wise choices, we're planting seeds that have the potential to grow stuff that is really good in our lives. And when we make unwise choices, the same is also true, that we are going to grow things in our lives that are probably not the best for us. And that's why making wise choices now is so important for our lives, not just for today, but for tomorrow and later in our lives. If we want good things to grow in our lives, then we have to start planting the seeds right now by making wise choices. So in other words, the goal is to live with the end in mind. So we have to think forward about how what we do right now is going to have an impact in our lives. Now, why is this important? Well, if we look at what Paul says next, he says, because the one who sows to his flesh will reap destruction from the flesh, but the one who sows to the Spirit will reap eternal life from the Spirit. Now that first part sounds pretty harsh to me, and that's how serious Paul was about making sure that the Galatians knew the importance of making wise choices and how their choices have consequences. When we plant seeds that are selfish or sinful or just unwise, it's going to lead to death and destruction in our lives. But when we make wise choices, then good will come. And that's what the second part of that verse talks about. It's so important because Paul pointed out that what is good, what we do when we do good and when we make those wise choices, that the Spirit of God leads us into, will harvest some pretty amazing things in our lives. When we believe in Jesus and we dedicate our lives to following Him, we are planting seeds in our life and in other people's life that will one day lead to the greatest gift, which is eternal life with Jesus. The goal is to live with the end in mind, and if I'm thinking about it, that's a pretty good end to keep our minds fixed on. Now, let me just stop and say that I know that simply knowing this in our heads does not make it easier for us to make these wise choices. It doesn't make caring about our futures more than we're caring about what's happening right now easier either. And honestly, it doesn't change the fact that we live in a world full of things like death and brokenness and sin and heartbreak and loss. And honestly, you guys, sometimes because of those things, because we live in a fallen world, we can plant all the right things in our lives and we still experience pain here on earth that comes from circumstances that are outside of our control. In other words, sometimes the harvest is going to be really hard to see. Those good things that are coming from your good choices, sometimes it's going to be hard to see. And honestly, Paul knew that this was going to be the case as well. And so he offered this encouragement in the next verses. So verses 9 and 10, it says, "Let us not get tired of doing good, for we will reap at the proper time if we don't give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us work for the good of all, especially for those who belong to the household of faith." And I love that part because what Paul is saying right there, he's saying, don't give up. Don't stop. Keep going because the good is coming. Even if we don't know when that's going to happen, or even if we don't know what that might look like, God promises us that the good will still come. We can trust that when we're sowing the right things, when we're making those right choices, that God will eventually reward us with a harvest, either here on earth, and if not here, for sure in heaven. So maybe you're planting seeds right now by making wise choices, but you feel like nothing is happening, that you haven't seen anything good come from that. And if that's where you're at, where you're studying hard, you're saying no to the things that you know you shouldn't do. You're choosing to hang out with different friends because you know they're going to be a better influence on your life. If you're saying yes to all of the things that you should be, and you're just not feeling any different, and it's just hard and difficult, I want you guys to hear this. Just keep going. Don't give up, because there is good that will come. Just like what Paul says, if you keep doing good and making those wise choices, you will have good things that will grow, whether you see them now or not until later. Good things will grow. So remember that we need to have a goal to live with the end in mind. The goal to make wise choices now that will lead to growth of great things in the future. And the goal is to remember that even if we don't see good things growing right now, if we can't see those things, know that God sees, that He notices the work that you're doing. He sees the wise choices that you guys are making, and He'll make everything right in the end. But what does that mean for us today? Like how does that change anything? Well, for starters, I think we need to take a look at our lives and look at what are the seeds that I'm planting in my life right now. Are you planting seeds of distrust by gossiping behind someone else's back? Or maybe you're planting seeds of laziness by skipping your band practice like I did. Or maybe you're planting seeds of disrespect by lying to your parents or disobeying them in other ways, talking back to them. What kind of seeds are you planting? And I think that no matter who we are, I think everyone in this room, we can all identify at least one area of our lives where the seeds that we're planting now may not be growing the best things in our lives. And once we know where we need help planting better seeds, we can ask God for His wisdom, for His strength, and for His encouragement, and He will give us those things to start being able to make better choices. So think about it in this day. One day, you guys are going to look back on all the choices that you guys have made during your middle school years, and you're going to think one of two things. First, I'm glad I did fill in the blank. Or you're going to think, I wish I had blank. So look at the things in your life right now, the choices that you are making, and ask yourself which one of these things are going to fall into that first category and which of them are going to fall into that second. And my prayer for all of you guys is that you'll start making wise choices right now so that you can look back on these years and be proud of the things that have grown in your life because of those choices that you made. Right now, you can start. You don't have to wait till you're in high school. You don't have to wait till you're an adult. The wise choices that you make right now can have a huge impact on the future that you guys have. So I'm going to wrap us up in prayer, and then I'm going to give you guys the last